Hey everybody, it's Pottsy here. Got the truck cam going. Yeah, I know I've had a couple people ask me some questions. I'm on my way up to pick up some steel at Slesnick's to make more flowers, imagine that. But I know I've had some people ask me all the time, so how'd you get started in this and what's your story and all this? So figured I'd do a little quick video as I'm going down the road and just kind of talk as I drive here and get things squared away with everybody. So, anyways, the flower thing. Yeah, did I ever think I'd grow up and be like 48 and building metal flowers? No. No, I did not. I started life out in high school. I went to the vocational school, and I wanted to be a machinist. You know, make stuff out of metal. I had no idea what a micrometer was, or a dial caliper was, or a mill, or a lathe, or a shaper. Anybody know what a shaper is? I do. Ran one. They don't even make them anymore. I don't think they made them for like 60 years. But anyways, so I come out of Buckeye Joint Vocational there in New Philly with a machinist degree, and I started at a little machine shop in Carrollton called Hall Machine, and I worked there for about 2 years. And towards the end of my stay there, I'd get laid off, and then I would, work for a couple months and then get laid off. And I happened to get my foot into the Genie Company in Alliance. You know, the garage door opener people? Yeah, I got my foot in there into the engineering side of things in a little thing called the Mechanical Test Lab. And what they did there is they took garage door parts and new ideas and current stuff that they were making, and we tested it, and we've seen how it held up. So I worked with R&D, close with the engineers, great engineers, some of the brightest, smartest dudes I've ever known in my life. But I was just a dumb kid when I started in there, and that's what kind of gave me the taste for the engineering side of things, and I just loved it. I love the whole mechanical side of things. I love how things work and how to design and build stuff. So I just kind of grabbed it by the bull, by the horns kind of thing, and just rolled with it, ran with it, and just, 3 deer right out there in the field. Squirrel! Anyways, so that's how I kind of got involved in the engineering side of things. So I was machining prototype parts and testing them and breaking them. And if any of you out there are familiar with like the old Samsonite suitcase commercial from like the 1970s and early 80s era, where they gave a suitcase to a monkey and he jumped up and down on it and beat it up, and then they said, oh yeah, the suitcase is so tough it can withstand a gorilla beating it up. I was the gorilla. That's what I did at Genie. I beat stuff up, but it was cool because that whole process introduced me into the manufacturing of stuff and American people, and how proud the American people were, how proud the older people and the people I was working with were of the product that they were building there. And it was so cool. It was so cool. I mean, we had a facility in Virginia, in Shenandoah, Virginia, that made circuit boards. Some of the best people down there. I mean, I went down there and worked with these people on testing and top-notch, just quality American people. The kind of people that you're just proud to know. And we had a facility in Sugar Creek area down in Baltic, and they manufactured all the openers and all that stuff. And let's see, we had a warehouse in Akron. We manufactured like everything. The motors and the openers, pretty much made everything. Stamped out the little windings and welded them together for the armatures and the laminations, and then sent those to the Virginia plant, and they wound them with wire and dipped them and sent them back, and we put them together in production. It was so cool. But anyways, I was there for like 14 years and worked my way up to head technician, and started doing night classes and going to school and learning CAD and all that stuff. And then I worked my way up to manager of the lab, and then kind of grew it from there. And it's been 14 years, all my 20s and big part of my 30s at Genie. And anyways, long story short, they wanted me to move to Texas after I set up a facility out there for them, and I didn't want to move to Texas, so I was like traveling back and forth, and Bird, the CEO, was like 2 months old. So it wasn't cool. I was there a week and home a week, and the wife with the new baby, and us being new parents, it just wasn't cool. So they tried to force me to go to Texas. And long story short, I was flying home one Friday afternoon, coming home from Dallas, and my technician that was with me, John Churchill, top-notch dude, man. Top-notch dude. Anyways, he was like, hey, you're awful quiet. You always are talking, and you're awful quiet. You know me, I do talk a lot. Really? Anyways, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I got a lot on my mind. And he's like, oh, no. This could be good, this could be bad. And I go, yeah, you know what? I don't know. We'll see. So I got home, and I got with my father, which you guys all know my father. And I'm like, hey, Dad, they want me to move to Dallas. And I don't know what to do. And you know what? I think I'm just going to quit my job on Monday. Yeah, like my engineering career job of 14 years. I'm just going to walk in and quit. And Dad's like, well, you do what you have to do, and I'll support you in any way I can. And I was like, he's like, what are you going to do? And I said, well, Dad, you know, I've always wanted to do my own thing and start my own little business. And I just love to build stuff and design stuff. And he's like, all right, I'll support you. So I was like, cool. I got Dad's blessing and Mom's blessing. And of course, the wife, she's like, yeah, she thought I was crazy. But she's like, okay, here we go. So then I went and talked to her parents, and my mother and father-in-law. And my father-in-law, you know, he's old school. You know, he worked at like Ameritech, and before that it was like something. He started like right out of high school working for the phone company, went to Korea, came back and started his job back in the phone company, then retired from it. You know, so he was this old school. You know, you get your foot into a big name business company, and you just work there your whole life, and you retire from there. So he wasn't too crazy about me pulling the trigger and throwing 14 years down the drain from a kind of a big name corporation kind of thing. But he said, hey, I'll support you, you know, and the whole time he's thinking, don't screw with my daughter, you know what dads would think. Anyways, so what I do, Monday morning, I go into Genie, and I opened up the lab at 6 in the morning, and it was Monday morning, and that's what I did. I opened up every day at 6, and so I got there about 5 in the morning, and I cleaned out my office, just took all my personal stuff and stuck it in my Jeep. Yeah, the same Jeep you know of? Yeah, that Jeep. I drove that, you know, my last day to work, because I thought, you know what, if I'm coming home on my last day from this career, I'm at least going to drive home something that I think is cool in my little pea-brain head. So, loaded up, got the lab all rolling, guys come in, and at 8 o'clock on Monday mornings, we had an engineering managers meeting every Monday to go over everything, you know, week coming, you know, stuff we did the week prior and all that happy stuff. So, I purposely went into the meeting late. Like, my boss calls me at like 3 after 8. I remember looking at the clock. It was 3 after 8. And he's like, hey, Potts, are you going to grace us with your presence? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm on my way up. And I literally went up, and I had my laptop and my keys and my receipt and all the stuff for the lab in order with me. Walked into the meeting, and I set everything on the table, and I says, hey, you know what, I just wanted to say I appreciate all the years working with you guys, and it's been fun, but, you know, I'm done, and this is my resignation, and I am currently leaving. And I shook everybody's hand, and I walked out of the meeting, and I walked down into my Jeep, and I drove home. And that was the last time I was at Genie, and that was 14 years ago. Anyways, craziest ride home ever. I'm in my Jeep, cruising home, and this is emotional roller coasters going on, and I'm thinking, I'm excited in one way because I'm like starting this new adventure of something that I always had a dream of, of doing my own thing. But yet I know that I have like one more paycheck coming, and after that, it's all on me. And I was like, okay. So, you got these highs and lows. So, anyways, I came home and started building things in my little shop. And I built things for Jeeps, and I built a lot of roll cages for this off-road club that I'm involved in. The guys, had me build stuff. And so I wanted to start my own little business, and I said, well, you know what? I need to have a name. I need to design a logo. And one of my favorite things in the mechanical side of things in the world is a gear. I love gears. That's why they're my logo. See, now these are flowers on here, but anyways, that's a whole other story. So, and I was like, well, what kind of name can I come up with? And I'm like, built by Pottsy. My name's Pottsy, and I just build stuff. So, that's what happened. Well, 10 years ago, April 2nd, I actually incorporated the business. And as I incorporated the business, my mother, I'm doing blueprints and design work and CAD work and building stuff for local companies and doing drawings and all kinds of stuff. My mom comes to me with a home and garden magazine, and she opens it up and she points at a page and an article in there, and she says, hey, check this out. This house, with all their landscaping, they have little animals and critters made out of old junk parts. Think you can make me a few things for around the house? And of course, me and my mom, I'm like, yeah, Mom, I can do that. Yeah. So I went to the junkyard. And I just started picking up cool little parts and brought them home. I made Mom a few things. And she's like, this is cool. And I was like, yeah, it was kind of fun, Mom. And her friends were like, hey, this stuff is really cool. And I was like, hey, thanks. So then I made Mom a flower. Same thing happened. Well, then I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a couple flowers, and I'm going to paint them with some industrial good paint. And I got it from Sherwin-Williams. And I'm just going to put them in the front yard for sale sign, and we'll see how, see what happens. And at that point, it was like, you know what? If I sell one here and there, it's icing on the cake. It's a couple extra bucks in my pocket. Beer money. Happy kind of stuff. Stuff to take the wife out to dinner or whatever. And, I made a few and I put them in the front yard. They slowly trickled away. And I made a few more and they trickled away. And then the summer came and went and I didn't make any more. I think that first summer I made, I don't know, maybe 40 flowers. Maybe not even 40. Then the next spring came around and I had a couple of people pull in and say, hey, didn't you have flowers last year you were making? And are you going to do any? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do any anymore. I said, I just not going to do them anymore. And then a few more people pulled in, and then the wife's like, hey, you know what? People are pulling in, asking about metal flowers. Maybe you should make some metal flowers. And I'm like, no, hon, I don't want to make metal flowers. I said, I hate the paint. It's messy. It's such... I don't like dealing with the solvents. I don't like it. And I said, maybe I should look into powder coat. I said, I've been around the process, and it's pretty cool, and that would be really cool. Powder coat flowers like crazy colors. So she's like, So, long story short, I did some research, and I ran across PJ. And I hit him up, and I says, hey, I would like to, coat, but I'd like to do like fades and roll the colors together. And he's like, you really can't do that with powder, but I've got some ideas and I've never really had anything to try it on. And I go, well, dude, I've been around powder coat a little bit and I got some ideas too, and I have a product that we might be able to screw with and see what happens. So he's like, yeah, sure, let's try it. So we tried it and it was interesting in the beginning. But we slowly tweaked it, and then over the years, I would put them in the front yard, and I would go to powder coat on Thursday afternoons. with like 5 or 6 flowers, because I could build like 5 or 6 a week. And we'd sandblast and we'd coat them, and I'd get home at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night on Thursday night, and Friday morning I would get up, I'd put them together and put them in the front yard, and I'd put the for sale sign out there. And then I would do things around my place, mow and whatever, and then people would pull in over the course of Friday and buy the flowers. Hence is how the Friday sales day was started, because I would build stuff, get coated on Thursday, put it out on Friday, rock and roll. So, as things started to grow, no pun intended, I needed some help, and that's where Welder Joe come into play. He's like hitting me up, and he was a friend of BJ's, and he's like, hey man, if you ever need any help welding, let me know. So finally I was like, hey dude, you want to help me? I need some help. So Joe came into the mix, and that was about 8 years ago. And then, him and I rock and roll, same thing, Thursday nights, blah, 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 blah. And now with Joe helping me, I could build about 12 or 13 a week. It's like, yeah, still the same Thursday night thing. So, anyways, as they started, growing and getting more popular, the Friday thing, came around. Dad retired, and Mom's like, hey, can you have your dad help you? He's driving me nuts. You got to get him out of the house. And I'm like, yeah, Mom. I think he can help me. So he comes over, and he starts helping me, and I teach him how to form pedals. And he's like, okay. So, boom. Now there's Dad, myself, and Joe. So now we're putting out 16, 18 flowers a week. Yeah. And they're slowly going away. Yeah. Well then, Michael. How'd Michael come into the picture? Michael's mom works with BJ, the powder coater. BJ has a day job. And anyways, Michael's mom's like, hey, my son, is there anything, he'd like a job. And BJ's like, yeah, he can help me sandblast. So Michael come and started helping BJ sandblast in the evenings. And so that's how I met Michael at sandblast. And then when Michael, I asked BJ, I says, hey, do you mind if Michael helps me out during the day through the summer, off and on, once or twice a week? And BJ's like, no, man, I don't care. That'd be cool. So I was like, hey, dude, I said, I could use some help in my shop. You want to help me? He's like, yeah, I'll help you. So he come down, and he didn't know what a welder was, let alone how to turn one on. And I'm like, hey, this is a welder, and this is what we do, and let me teach you some basics. So I taught him some basics, and he started doing the basics. And then next thing you know, Michael's helped me a couple days a week. Next thing you know, we're building like 20, 25 flowers a week. So now there's us 4, rocking and rolling. So, and as they grew, I refined the process, and I was like, well, you know what? Instead of going up on Thursday nights to powder coat, how about I just buy 2 little cargo trailers, and I load up a cargo trailer, and I take it to powder coat, and I drop it off, and I tell BJ the color schemes I need, and then I pick it up a week later. And over the course of while he's powder coating, I start working on another trailer load with Dad, Michael, Joe, myself. Brilliant. Then when I get that trailer, I go up and I'll drop it off, and I'll pick the trailer up that I dropped off last week, and boom, we can take a 1-week process that we can usually do like 20 flowers, and we can squeeze it into a 2-week process, but still get product every week. And we can probably double our production if I refine the process a little bit. Bam. So what I do? Exactly what I said. And over the last couple years, we've refined it, and now on a normal week, we build about 40 flowers or so. And you guys just keep showing up and buying them, and it's pretty cool. So here we are, pretty much modern day, and I'm just kind of doing my own thing, building flowers, and I'm 48, and it's supporting quite a few of us, and it's really cool. Michael's never had a real job. His only job he's ever had is pretty much sandblasting for BJ, and then helping me. And now him and Joe are the 2 major guys in the process, and BJ is the 3rd major guy, but he runs his own little business, Meyer Coating. and we just rock and roll. And Dad forms pretty much all the petals. If you own a flower, pretty much good chance Dad formed them. So there it is. I'm almost here to Selesnik's to get steel, and that was like a 15 or 20 minute story of my life, of how I am where I am. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and this is Pottsy, and I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day.